Good afternoon and welcome to the City of Sacramento's webinar, Resilience, Repurpose, and Recovery. Today's webinar is about restaurants, cafes, and coffee shops and how you can apply for the Farm to Fork Al Fresco Dining Program and Grant. For your information, this webinar series, we usually hold them on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock every week. So we'd love for you to join in future webinars. Additionally, this is being recorded and also it's being placed on Facebook Live right now on the city's Office of Innovation and Economic Development Facebook page. I would encourage you to sign up there and to like our page and follow some information as we share it. Right now, and then also the video will be posted afterwards along with the PowerPoints and any documents that we talk about by first thing tomorrow morning will be on the City of Sacramento's webpage. So that's cityofsacramento.org/biz-webinars. At this time, I'll turn the time over to Leslie in our Office of Innovation and Economic Development. She'll take it from there. Towards the end, we'll have any questions where you can, you'll be able to type in your questions. You can do that throughout the webinar, and we'll answer those at the end. So Leslie, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Darren, and thank you all for joining us today so you can learn a little bit more about the city's Farm to Fork Al Fresco program. Through the course of the webinar, you'll hopefully learn 3 different things, kind of an overview of the program, how you can get some funding to help implement the proceeds and the improvements you want to make, and then also we'll walk you through the application process itself. So on May 22nd, the Sacramento County issued a public health order allowing dining in all restaurants as long as they follow the county public health order. To take advantage of this new opportunity to basically reopen our restaurants, the Midtown Business Association conceived of a Farm to Fork Al Fresco program. Of course, city staff thought this was a great idea and embraced the program and thought we should roll out the program citywide. So you'll learn about the program today. It really is about 2 different parts. It allows restaurants to expand their dining into either private parking lots or into the streets or sidewalks. So I'll walk through each of those specific elements. The first program, really, or the first part of the program, is allowing a restaurant to expand into a private parking lot. Now, this does not require a city permit, but they must, once again, and I'm going to underscore this probably many times throughout the webinar, they must follow Sacramento County public health standards, which we'll talk about in a minute. And they can use portable tables, chairs, umbrellas, but it's really important that they don't block any fire lanes or fire hydrants. We all want to be safe through this process, and that the accessible parking spaces in that parking lot are kept open. So no permit required if you want to expand your dining into a private parking lot. The second part of the program is if you want to expand your restaurant, coffee shop, or whatever it might be, into a sidewalk or into the street. This is a few more steps in the process, but certainly one that we allow and will work through the process with you. Darren, if you could advance the slide to the next one, please. Great, thank you. So this process, since the sidewalk and the street are considered public right-of-way, it involves a separate permit, which is called an encroachment permit, because you're encroaching into that public right-of-way. And that will be required for all of the dining facilities that want to expand to the sidewalk or street. So if you're interested in that, we work with our public works staff who come out and do a site assessment, kind of give you some ideas as to how it could work on the sidewalk, or how it might work if you're expanding into the street, and what some of the requirements are to make sure there's ADA accessibility and path of travel for people who are walking down the particular sidewalk. And so it will require, as I mentioned, an encroachment permit. So as part of that process, you will need to submit an encroachment permit application. But we'll help you, and the public works staff will help you through that process. So many of the corridors or business sections of our city are included in a property-based improvement district. And what we're hoping is that that property-based improvement district can kind of collect applications from that district so we can get one application from many restaurants. So if you're in one of those areas, be it Stockton Boulevard, Del Paso Boulevard, for example, Franklin, you may want to first reach out to your representative from the PVID, that director, and see if they're going to walk you through the process and also coordinate applications for that entire corridor into one application. That might help you as it might streamline the process for you, and that also will allow you to work with the other restaurants along the corridor as well on a comprehensive approach. So I did mention the county environmental and public health part of the program. It certainly is important to review the guidelines that are included in those health standards. And the parts also to keep in mind is that if you are also planning on serving alcohol, whether you have alcohol in the restaurant that you have currently, you do need to follow a separate ABC permit. And if you could go to the next slide, we'll give you some links for those specific pieces of information. So the guidelines and a checklist for business are available on the Sacramento County Health site, and they also are available and have the link to the County of Sacramento's public health order, which give you some very specific criteria that you need to follow if you are going to be using the dine-in restaurant opportunity. So the other part I was alluding to earlier is the alcohol and beverage control. So the restaurants that wish to expand and continue their permitted alcohol sales beyond their confines of their restaurant do need to apply for ABC, a temporary catering authorization is what it's called. And the form is fairly straightforward, and it is, pretty much over the counter. The forms need to be turned in must be turned in person at the ABC location, which is at 2400 Del Paso Road. And it requires an application fee, a check or money order, no credit cards accepted, just check or money order of $100. So they too are turning around those permits very quickly, and ideally, maybe within a day, you will get that authorization from ABC. So I wanted to talk to you, that's the kind of the program overview. The city council has allocated $1 million for this program. So we hope to serve a lot of you businesses throughout the city. And the program itself is eligible for anyone that's independently or locally owned franchise restaurant and currently has a business operation tax with the city. So that's basically your business license. Next slide, please. So the funding is up to $3,000 per restaurant, and it can be used for any physical improvements that you may need to do to your space. That may include barricades or fencing, or some temporary fencing you may want to have around the parking lot area or the sidewalk. It could include umbrellas. It could include tables and chairs. We're really pretty flexible on what it would include, but it does need to be physical improvements. The amount and the grant will require execution of a grant agreement, a pretty straightforward, simple grant agreement. Will require that before we can issue the funding to you. Next slide, please. So a couple of things I do want to let you know. To apply for the program, here's the link, the www.cityofsacramento.org/alfresco. And then questions about the program, if you have questions, you can email us at alfresco@cityofsacramento.org. I wanted to let you know that the way the program is operating is that the program is based upon a reimbursement. So what will happen is after you apply, you will do your improvements and then submit your receipts to us, and we then can reimburse you for the costs that you've incurred for implementation of your alfresco dining. So I think Ash is going to walk you through the application itself, and so I turn it over to Ash.
Thanks, Leslie. Let me just share my screen with everybody. All right, so I'm just going to walk you through the online application. The website that Leslie had mentioned is cityofsacramento.org/alfresco. We are not currently accepting applications. I believe we will open the application tomorrow. But you will currently see this page that describes the application, and then instead of this submit your interest button, you will see an apply now button. So that will then take you to our application. That also has a cover page that describes the application. And then if you're on a mobile device or if you're on a desktop, the start button might appear in a different place, but essentially this warning will disappear and you will have a button to start a new application. Once you click that, that will take you to this page where we provide a set of instructions. Initially, it's really important to note that if you type an email address here in this field, you can then return to your application at any time. There is no save button. Your information will be saved as you enter your information. And so again, you don't need to feel necessarily rushed to submit it, but we do encourage you to submit as soon as you're ready. So we then ask for your first name, your last name, your phone number, the name of your business or your restaurant. We then want to know the address. And here we just, before you go any further, we want to make sure that your location is eligible for the program. Unfortunately, this program is only being offered to restaurants that are within the city limits of the City of Sacramento. So even if you're in the County of Sacramento, but not within the city limits, unfortunately, you won't be eligible to apply. And so below this, we ask for your city council district so that we can know that you are in fact within the city. So I'm going to demonstrate how you would look this up. There's a link down here that says, please identify the city council district where your business is located. And that will then take you to this page. And I currently have an address in here that I know is outside of the city limits. So I'll click find my council member. And it very clearly says that it's not in the city limits. So that's one way of confirming whether or not you're able to, whether your business is in the city limits. I'll go ahead and type an address for City Hall here that I know is within the city limits, and it's telling me it's District 4. So if this was my business location, I would go back to the application and just click District 4 here. So the next thing we want to know is your business operations tax certificate number. Again, there's a link here to look that up. It will take you to this page. I know Hacker Lab is a business that we've provided grants to. So what you would do, assuming your information comes up, is you click business detail. And then this account number is the number that we're looking for. So you just copy that and then paste it here and move on. And so for both of these, if you're not sure if your business is in the city limits or what the current status is of your business operations tax certificate, go ahead and reach out to us. The contact information is on the application. It's alfresco@cityofsacramento.org. There's also a phone number to our business hotline, small business hotline. We will make that information as widely available as we can. And so, again, just reach out to us. We would prefer that you not submit an application if your business isn't eligible, because it's just going to create, additional workload for us. And we are happy to help you. So next, we're asking for the type of business. You'd indicate that here. The location, whether you're in a private parking lot or on a public sidewalk. And then to just briefly describe the type of outdoor dining area you envision. And then if you have any diagrams or pictures that help describe that, you can upload the file here using this button. Then we want to know how you're going to use the money from the city. So if you get all $3,000, what are you spending that on? Is it furniture? Is it other sorts of materials that helps you expand your dining facilities outdoors? Then we're just curious to know, are you an independent business or a locally owned franchise? Then we're curious if you're in a PBID or a property and business improvement district. If you are and you click yes, it's going to create the list of PBIDs here. We will actually provide a map. I don't see that it's listed right now, but we'll provide a map in case you're not sure of the PBID for your area, and you can look that up as well. And then you're pretty much finished. Lastly, before you submit, we would love to know the demographic information. This is just optional information. It helps us with our outreach and efforts. So just age, gender identity, race and ethnicity, and household income. And then lastly, we want to be able to reconnect with you after this program. So we're just asking you to consent to sending you emails. You can always subscribe from those emails at any time. And so down here, once you've fully submitted your application, currently the preview option isn't available because it's not open yet, but you'll just preview and submit your application and you will be done. And so with that, I will hand it back over to the team.
Ash, one question. Is the application only in English, or are there a variety of languages that it'll be provided in?
Yes, we're going to provide Word versions of the application. So essentially, we're going to take that same application and it will be available as a downloadable Word document in several different languages. We're still in the process of getting all those translations, but I believe at least 5 or 6 additional languages will be available, including Spanish, Chinese, I believe Hmong, and a few others. And yes, we will have that information available when the application opens tomorrow.
Thank you, Ash. So Leslie, at this time, we're going to go to questions, and if you could turn back on your video, that'd be great.
The host has stopped.
Yeah, tell Darren, I think that you've blocked me. You're not missing anything, folks.
So maybe I'll go ahead and I can ask you a couple of questions while we're working on that. Perfect. Thanks, Leslie. So one of the questions was, do you know if PBIDs can file one ABC permit for the entire district?
No, the ABC permit needs to be with each individual business. The ABC license is with that business. They're the ones that need to submit it.
And then how about the application deadlines? Kind of what's the process? Could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, thank you, Darren. So the process is we're accepting applications. We hope to go live tomorrow, and we'll be accepting applications until July the 15th. So once you press send, we'll receive that application, and we'll have staff get back with you certainly within the week and walk you through the process from there.
Okay. So here comes a great question. So this one, they ask about their storefront, which is facing a parking lot that's located in a center. And their question is, would they be able to set up furniture on the pathway, so the sidewalk in front of their center, which would then require passerbys to walk along the parking lot and not the sidewalk in front of their cafe? How would they proceed?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And since we haven't experienced the kind of the shopping center approach yet, we would meet with Public Works and meet on site with you to figure out what the best accommodation and path of travel approach might be.
Great. So if someone is approved for the al fresco dining, how long can they provide outdoor seating, and when they need to apply for a permit in the future?
There is no time limit for how long they can do the outdoor seating. At this point in time, we're envisioning that it will go into the fall, but there is no expiration date.
Okay. And is there a limit on the total amount of funds that have been allocated for this grant program?
Yeah, the council awarded $1 million for this program citywide.
Okay. And so this is a question related to kind of to ABC. So they ask, do they have to wait to receive like approval from the city of the al fresco permit prior to going down to ABC and applying for a permit?
No, absolutely not. I think I would suggest you go to ABC, make sure you have that in order, but they're not necessarily linked.
And then how about, so there's a grant program that someone needs to apply for. Do they need to first go and apply for the encroachment permit to have, if they're in the right of way, prior to applying for the grant?
No, the way we are envisioning it is that you should go ahead and apply for the grant, and then we, as staff managing that grant program, will make the link for you with Public Works, and then take it from there. So it's kind of a seamless process for you. You'll apply for the grant. We'll work with you. We'll make the connection to the Public Works staff, and then take the encroachment permit as kind of a second step.
Okay. And a PBID could take all those together and submit one application at one time for their entire district for any business that's requesting, correct?
Right. Absolutely right. And whether it's a PBID or a chamber, we are also, if they are able to do that, those organizations, we are providing a little bit of a administrative fee. We're giving 5% back to those organizations if they're able to bring a number of different applications together.
And is that both the joint applications at the PBID, is that both for the grant and the encroachment permit, or are those two separate things?
No, what we have found and what we've worked out with Public Works is that it could be one application for the encroachment permit and the grant. So that it could be basically an umbrella that would be both permits.
Okay. And how about, what's the relationship with the county? Will the county EMD be required to come out and do an inspection prior to allowing outdoor seating?
No, at this point, we are strongly recommending that you meet county public health standards and orders, but that is to the restaurant. The county health could come out and inspect you, but it is not a precursor to getting the encroachment permit or getting our grant.
Right. And we did have a webinar here 2 weeks ago where EMD was on the call, and they really, I guess, focused on they want to educate the restaurants and the businesses. And if you go to the website, it might get into a little bit more detail. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of great questions coming in.
Great. That means a lot of people are on the line.
There are. So does a business owner, are they required to get landlord permission for the outdoor seating as it relates to our process?
We would welcome the opportunity to work with the landlords and make sure that you have the landlord approval before proceeding. I think that's a step we would recommend, that you provide us indications that you have the property owner's approval. Okay.
And as it goes back to the $1 million, obviously there are many restaurants in the city of Sacramento. How will those be dispersed across the city?
What we are currently envisioning, we have a goal of 75% of the funding going to areas outside of the central city, a target of 25% within the central city. We actually looked at the distributions of the restaurants across the city, and believe it or not, 40% of those restaurants are located in the central city, but we really want to emphasize and work with restaurants outside the central city. So that's why we're really doing some specific outreach to make sure we hit those areas as well.
Right. So when someone does purchase, let's say, outdoor furniture, do they pay first and get reimbursed? And I think that's the way that you described it, but maybe could you talk about that again? Is there a specific type of furniture that they need to purchase? What's that process?
So as Ash was walking through the application, you can see that through the application process, we ask you to kind of articulate kind of what you might want to do with the funding, how you're going to use it, maybe some estimates of what you might be envisioning your costs to be. But we are not dictating what type of chair you buy or what type of umbrella you buy. we ask that, that is your discretion and that is your aesthetic for your restaurant. So we're not dictating that. That's why we want to do it kind of on a reimbursement basis. You choose whatever you want and bring us the receipts, and then we will reimburse you.
So when they apply for the grant, they don't have to have already purchased it. So,
No.
this person mentioned, obviously they're having a difficult time to try to afford something. They would want to ensure that they had been accepted for the grant prior to going out and purchasing. Is that
Exactly
correct?
right. And I'm glad that question came up, because what we would recommend is that, you work with us and we get a grant agreement signed before you make those purchases. But we are allowing, some, if you have purchased something in arrears, we will consider that. But we think a much stronger approach would be if you sign the grant agreement before you make any purchases.
And Leslie, the application, I believe Ash said it's not open today, right? It'll be open tomorrow. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So a couple questions about private parking lots, and I know many times the answer might be it depends. But this question asks that they have enough parking for them to just expand in a manner which would not impact anything. Do they still need to go through the process with applying with the planning department?
So once again, and I'm glad that question came up, because I'll underscore that if you're expanding into a private parking lot, you need no city permit. You need no city permit. So that is something that is very streamlined. If you want to apply for the grant and some funding for that, please contact us, but no other city permit is required for a private parking lot.
Well, that answers the next question, which was, could someone qualify for a grant if they were expanding into their own private parking lot, which obviously the answer is yes.
We want to encourage dining no matter where it is.
That's great. And the last question was, can someone request EMD to come out before they open? I believe that's a question for the county. And hopefully, our last discussion with EMD is they said that they're reaching out to all their restaurants to try to help and educate them. So as they reach out to you, that'd be a question to see if they're able to come out and visit your location prior to reopening.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, I think that's all the questions we have right now, Leslie. Is there anything else you wanted to add? And maybe gives another 30 seconds for anyone else to add a question if they have one.
No, we're just excited about the program. I know that I like to dine outside, and there's such a wide variety of restaurants throughout our city. We hope we can make a strong effort to get all the restaurants throughout the city to participate.
Great. And I also would like to mention the restaurants here. We have a number of farmers markets throughout the region and throughout the week. And as you're looking at possibly purchasing some produce, we encourage you to visit our farmers markets. They're all over the city. And we did have 3 more questions come in. So here you go. So would food trucks or street vendors be able to request funds?
At this point in time, we are limiting the program to just bricks and mortar restaurants. We are looking at some flexibility for food trucks and working with our planning department on some flexibility related to maybe having them be able to have tables and chairs outside the food truck. But at this point in time, it wouldn't be an eligible application under our process.
Okay. This question is, they want to know as it relates to the grant, does printing their takeout menu, could that be included in the reimbursement? So it sounds like they're a business that normally has people inside. They have more of a traditional menu that it seems like they're looking to print disposable ones for external seating. Is that something that would qualify under the grant?
I think at this point we're not envisioning printing costs being an eligible element to this program.
And you stated that if someone is expanding into a private parking lot, they're not required to come apply at the city. How about if there's disabled parking in there? Is there a way that they can contact the city to ensure that they're still in compliance with ADA parking requirements?
There is, and our planning staff would be available for consultations on that. I think the more streamlined approach is really can you accommodate it without taking any ADA spaces from the parking lot? And I think we're very mindful of the needs of our disability community. So if you're able to keep those ADA spaces, that is what we're strongly encouraging. You'll probably hear the same message if we connect you with the planning department.
Great. And then finally, I think this might something to touch on a little bit earlier. How long is this program as relates to outdoor seating, al fresco going on, and how long is the application going to be open for applying for the grant?
I'll take the last question first, which is that we're going live tomorrow, and then the application deadline, as it were, is July 15th. We may extend that. We just don't know how many restaurants might take advantage of it. So we're kind of setting a mark of July 15th and seeing how much we have in funding after that. And then as far as how long the dining can last, I hope it lasts a very long time. There's no deadline to the outside dining approach.
So another question. So can the grant be used for back patio and front patio? So I'm guessing this might be a question of they have existing outdoor seating, and could the grant be used for their existing patios?
No, I think this is viewed to be just an expansion for additional areas, not existing patio space.
Great. Well, that's all of our questions. We really appreciate everyone's participation today. Again, this webinar is on Facebook Live and will be available immediately. And we'll have it on our city's website at cityofsacramento.org/biz-webinars by tomorrow morning, along with all the links. And the website for the Alfresco program is cityofsacramento.org/alfresco. And all of the links that were spoken about today should be on that site. And if not, we will make sure here within the hour that we add anything there. So Leslie, once again, thank you very much. Great information. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our small business email or our phone number and leave us a message, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Thank you.